You got flies all over your chair. I see 3.
All right, let's get her going. Ow!
Sorry.
That got me.
Yeah, give me my tool.
Hell
Here,
no.
right here. All right, got that one. Welcome to the Some Raised Hunting podcast where freaking flies are everywhere. So there you go. That's what I have. I don't like flies if you haven't figured it out. But anyhow. And I think they're flying around these guys because they smell like dookie. So anyhow, sorry. I'm apologizing for them, but this morning I have to apologize for me because the flies have pissed me off. Okay, welcome back. Missed you guys since last week. I don't know what you've been up to, but we are getting ready for hunting season, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the transition period because one of our employees, what is her title? What do we want to give her? She gets like a whole bunch of titles.
The shop mom, the warehouse manager, the person that keeps everything in order, the one that makes sure everybody that orders something actually gets something. She's got a list.
That means that all of you that are ordering, you better make sure you take care of Lynette because she's the one taking care of you. That's where I was going.
There's not very many times my jaw
drops. She's happy this morning because she got mangoes.
Love you. Yeah.
All right. What was I supposed to? Don't forget, we got tons of stuff on the website, so make sure you go to the website. If you're looking at scents, if you're looking at apparel, whatever, just go to the raisedhunting.com. You can't miss it. What else, Warren? You got anything this morning that you need to?
Shout out to Ben Sutter. He said, just started listening to you guys this week. Easily became one of my favorite hunting podcasts in no time. Can't wait for the new episode releases. Griffin Reiner.
He's got about 150 to go back on.
Yeah. Griffin says, excited to hear the podcast with working class bow hunters. Keep up the awesome stuff, fellas. And so with that being said, if you guys would, please share it with your friends. Leave a review. It really helps us grow. We have another one here. This podcast gets me through my day, Justin Woodrow. This podcast gets me through my day of driving for sure. Just ordered Buck Junkie for the first time. Looking to set up a rub post on a new food plot. First year for food plots as well. I'm excited to see the results.
Nice.
And then there was one funny one we had too here. Another one on YouTube. Jake Rotman says, can you draw a property on a whiteboard to give the viewer a reference and not show property? And then his next comment, slow minds think alike.
He wasn't posted that in the first part of it.
I'm going to guess so,
That's
yeah.
freaking funny.
So
we'd like to hear from you guys on that, whether you leave podcast comments or on YouTube. If those are topics you guys want to continue, I know that we have a lot of people that say that those are relevant to them or that they can use it for their own stuff. So that's why we do them, because you guys seem to like them. But if we end up doing too many of them, or at some point you guys are like, well, we've heard a lot of them, just let us know, because we do have quite a few. And if you have something that you want us to get sent in, send it in, and we'd like to do it. So
I think those are fun because
I enjoy them.
They're so detailed that you have to have a scenario like that to address it.
We do have an update on the one from last week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 2 of them. One is, I'd have to look at the email specifically. He put his blind somewhere new, and then he sent me a picture he just got of Ghost. But again, it was at midnight.
Did he find the neighbor?
Yes, the neighbor is to the north and to the northeast, I think.
Thank you.
Oh, we were looking
That's
northwest.
important information. No.
Well,
You said they might be across the river. So he's definitely probably not down on the south side.
Yep.
Which means that you have all that for access, which totally changes the entire picture for that one. And it would also mean don't use the river for access.
Yeah, don't listen to Warren's river rafting.
Well, he didn't tell us what neighbor.
That's fair. That's fair. Understood. So,
okay. So I think we're going to talk about transition period. I think let's do 2 things here. One, what have you been seeing all summer? What you should expect, and how to utilize this time period now to help you prepare for the coming seasons. And then maybe we should talk about, too, because you guys are going to Kentucky, right?
Yep. September 4th. We start hunting September 6th.
So it might be a good time there to talk about the strategy as well, because I'm going to imagine most of those deer that he's sending pictures of are probably going to come out of velvet. And how are you going to anticipate that?
That's the whole goal. We're trying to shoot one off the scrape in velvet.
So her getting one on the 21st, it means, oh no.
I feel like by September 5th, you're pretty well toast.
I agree. You I don't know.
You don't even get there until what, the 3rd?
We don't need to start hunting until the 6th.
September what?
Oh, yeah, you're screwed.
I disagree with that, depending on where you're at.
Dude, 99% of our deer are out by September 2nd.
I wouldn't say 99%, because I remember when I was in youth season, it was rare, but you'd have 1 or 2 that would still be in velvet, and that's September 15th.
There's something wrong with his balls if he's... Oh, September 15th, was that early?
Because we had it happen multiple years where I thought that as a youth, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to shoot one in velvet. Meanwhile, it's like a couple that are still there.
I would say that first week of first week of September, it starts taking place. Hers is an odd deer.
I think that's early. Like the August 21st.
Well, the outfitter.
But it also depends on the area. He said that in his area that it seems like
that 70 to 80% would still be holding at that time. We'll see.
Seems high. Okay, so where do we want to start with all that?
Well, there's multiple transition periods in my opinion. Well, at least 2 main ones, and we're in the first main one, I think.
Okay, so let's just start with this on the summer stuff. What have you been seeing all summer, meaning ourselves and everybody that's listening, and then can you utilize any of that information going into the future? Will any of that information help you kill a deer?
Depends on the deer, I think. Generally, if you want to, I have started to lean. I think if you go look back like 2 years, I would have had a different opinion on this. But generally, I would say that there's not a ton of information you're going to get that is going to be lucrative to getting a shot in the fall from the summer. Timeout.
Let's say your season opens. Kentucky's would be September 1, right?
No, 6th.
Okay.
It's first Saturday. They do the same way Montana does. First Saturday.
One, though. So let's say that your season opens September.
Yeah.
And then let's say that your season opens October, because I do think I think that could change things some.
Okay.
So if I have a season that opens in September, early September, my opinion changes. I do believe that your summer information could be what kills you a deer, depending on the velvet. The velvet is a big deal because mainly when they shed it, but I do think that there is like a week or two there where they haven't shed it yet to after when they are everything is starting to change. But if you have them in their velvet and they are early and you do know what they're doing consistently, you have a dang good chance. They may be coming out of that summer pattern. You have a dang good chance of getting real close on a pattern that they've been doing for the past month or two. So I think September, that changes a lot if you have that season.
I think so. There's a couple. One, Easton and I have noticed there's another transition period that we just passed. And that is through the summer months, you just see deer, all right? Doe here, buck here. You start to see the buck bachelor groups kind of form, and you start seeing that when you drive around in the evenings in the field, it'll be 4 or 5 bucks, and then there's 8 or 10, and then there's 12. And then about August 1st, I'm going to say now is what we started noticing with our scents and using our scrapes, that all of a sudden, even though they were still in velvet, the bucks started coming to the scrapes. Meaning not just walking by one or sniffing it just for a second, but actually coming up and rubbing their preorbital on it and licking it and actually reacting to the scrape, where they weren't doing that as much or much less when they were just growing. And so there was a transition period. Does that help me figure out what's going on? Maybe not, other than can I create a place where they want to come back to? That they're comfortable now, and so that summer, because I do agree, September, you have an opportunity to catch these deer still patternable. Whitetails are not really patternable until it seems like early and late, either early before when you have this summer congregation going on, or late when they're just predictable off food. They got to come eat.
I think when you say that, not patternable, I think you mean like nowhere near as consistent as when, like the summer because I can hear guys right now. You can absolutely pattern them in October.
Absolutely.
And you can to an extent, but as far as the same
Volume.
exact spot
Right.
within 30 minutes of themselves every night, that type of thing.
Yeah, I would even go so far as to say it's even better than 30 minutes. I think you can almost nail them down to 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, they get that habitual when they're feeding. It seems like that they're just willing to come right back the next day, do the same thing. Where even what you're talking about, and I'm not saying that that's not the case, that you don't figure out that's how you kill a buck. A lot of times in October or November, you kind of figure out what is his pattern. But his pattern you might sit for 2-3 days before he does it again. So there's a difference in what I'm saying. I guess if I wasn't being clear, then I agree. But I do think I'm looking forward to this. This is the first time I've ever, even though in Montana we had the opportunity to hunt September for whitetails, I didn't. And I didn't because I was elk hunting and antelope hunting. And that's when I focused on those. Waylon, our buddy that's taxidermist, we had the same lease. We went in, he focused on September, and he knew he had 5 days is what he kind of figured. That those first 5 days is when he targeted those whitetails that we would sit on what it was is we had a big alfalfa field in the bottom, and we could sit on a bluff and watch it. That's the field that I was talking about. We saw 80 bucks one time. Well, you could watch that pattern. You could watch it go from 80 to 60 to 40 to 20 to now there's the ones that are going to stay.
And how long did that take?
I would say by mid-September. By mid-September, we were down to the core deer that were going to be left.
But like from the 80 to the 60, was that over the course of a day or a few days?
No, a few days. Like within a week, I would say you go back every 3 or 4 days and you'd see 7 or 8 were gone.
So would it be fair to say then that that's a 2-week transition period or so?
Something like that. You mean going from 80 down to 10 though?
Yeah.
Or the core deer? No, I would say it's more like 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Okay. It was just kind of like they trickled away, and then you didn't see them anymore. But then and the 2 that I'm referring to, if you remember, that's the year that I killed MJ. Yep. And the other buck that was running with him was the one that Waylon really wanted to kill. And we set that ground blind, and we watched those suckers literally.
80 that summer?
There was 80 bucks in that field.
God dang.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Now that's counting
and then
spikes
MJ
and fork and
that short G4 deer.
Yep.
Were probably the two biggest.
The 2 biggest.
They both stayed.
They both stayed. They were walking together. The only reason he didn't shoot MJ is because the other one came first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he walked up. I mean, we put that ground blind in there. We knew exactly what wind he had to have. We watched them from on that bluff because we could see what they were doing, and they were coming across the creek, come up the hill. When they got into the hill, they would angle across the field. So there was a little point in the field like that. We put that blind right there. That put him walking by at like 18 yards, 17, 18 yards.
Were they bedding in those willows?
In all the tall stuff on the river, yeah.
Yeah.
And
looking
so
back now, the pinch points on that stuff. Everything is crazy.
It was so freaking. We had on X in real, meaning because we're sitting on that bluff, we're looking down on the whole place, and it's like, okay, so it was like having a real live on X. Okay, you can go right there. Look, he's walking by there right now. Then we came back the next day. Okay, they went by there again. They're 5 minutes later. All right, here they come the next day.
But there's also not that many places for them to go.
No, they had everything they needed right there. So anyhow, we
did kill that deer.
He didn't. He lost it.
Oh, you got a shot though.
He did. Oh yeah. And Waylon will tell you to this day it was his mistake. I mean, they were coming just like they were, and he got nervous to let him pass the blind or get even with the blind. So as he was coming, he kind of shot him, kind of quartered 2, and I think he hit that front shoulder and. Because we never found him. I mean, and that's the other thing.
Must have killed him, though.
I agree because we never found him. Never found him laying dead on the river or never heard of anyone else finding him. But he must have gone a long ways because we had a lot of that ground to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking deal. That would have been his biggest whitetail at that time for sure. If mine was 160 or 159, I think is
161.
Yeah, MJ was.
Yeah.
This one was probably 3 or 4 inches smaller is all. I mean, they were real close.
For Montana deer is big.
Freaking wild.
And his G4s were like...
Yeah.
I thought MJ was like a world record when I saw him.
He's a big deer for us.
He was really, to me, he was really big.
So that's an example of a way that you can pattern them. Do you think the alfalfa had a big thing to do with that?
It was the thing. I mean, when you and I don't think you'll ever see that kind of a draw in the Midwest. There's too much food. But there, what we're referring to, I want to say that was about a 40-acre alfalfa field that was pivot. It was watered, and so it was the only green thing up and down the river for 5 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
And those deer were just there. I mean, that's why they came there, especially on a dry year. Then they were really targeted in there, and that year was dry.
Okay, so we know then that. So as far as information in the summer, if you have a season that opens in September, if you've had a buck that's been showing up all summer, there is a decent chance that you could try to catch him if he's not a homebody before he moves.
Yep.
Fair to say?
Yep.
Okay, so then should we go to the flip side? Your season doesn't open until October.
Yep.
Okay, now what do we think?
I think you're yes and no. I think the amount of information you got in the summer that you use in September is 10 times more than what you got for October, especially if you have somewhere like they're talking about in Montana, or even just a place in Iowa, Midwest, somewhere where you have lots and lots and lots of deer summering there, and then you notice that for whatever reason some of your bucks disappear. That sucks. So a lot of the information you're going to get during the summer isn't really going to do a whole lot for you during the fall if the deer aren't there. But what I will say that I've learned is there are some deer that if you know that some of the ones that stay there, whether it's a target buck or just deer or some of the bucks that you've paid attention to in a year or two or something that you see during the summer that don't ever go anywhere during the fall, you can at least get a general idea of, hey, I've been getting them here all year and they like to stay here during the fall too. At least you can get some areas and mark bedding areas where they're probably not going to change those significantly if they like to stay there. But not all the deer do that. So I think your information goes drastically down.
Yeah, I think your summer information is more one that the deer exists. That, first of all, it tells you, okay, he made it. I see him. Number two, you're going to see whether he increased in size, stayed the same, or got smaller. Number three, you're going to get a better idea, too, though, on what you are dealing with, meaning how many does, how many bucks. What am I going to contend with? Is that going to change how much I call, how little I call, how many scents do I use, what scents do I use, that kind of thing. So my strategies might change just from what I'm seeing from that. You can never have too much information, in my opinion. I mean, even to this day, I've been doing this now for 47 years, and I'm still learning something every year about a whitetail deer. So having as much information as possible, what can I actually factually say? How is it helping me to know that deer that I've seen this summer or that I got trail camera pictures of? How is that going to help me kill them in November? Maybe it's only going to tell me to sit in that stand a little bit longer because I know he's there. But the first thing I'll be trying to figure out is what Easton's talking about. Does this deer exist here? Does he stay here? Don't get fixated on, well, he was there all of June and all of July and all of August, because that means if he liked it for 3 months, he's staying for the next 3. That is definitely not the case.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it's deer that lives there, you had previous years where he's there in the summer and he's there in the fall, that's good, solid confirmation that he's still alive. As far as it actually helping you kill him come October, I don't think it's going to help you that much.
Right.
I mean, I think it might be able to give you a generic idea of, like, this is the region of the farm that he likes, that he typically spends most of his time, but I don't think it really is going to help you a lot on, I need to stand here,
Right.
September, I agree. I think it's totally different story because you could catch them on that window.
I think it's different, too, depending on – right now we're all kind of referring or alluding to the fact that we're talking about 1 or 2 deer, you're looking for a specific buck kind of thing. If you're just hunting, your summer information can be extremely helpful.
Absolutely.
But you also need to know in my opinion, this is why I always say that I don't agree with it taking 1 year to learn a piece of property. I think it takes 2-3 years to really start to narrow it down to understand it. But I've had places where I thought that just getting deer in general was good because I'm not looking for anything specific during the summers. But then I've also found that those areas, the deer as a whole don't tend to stay there that much. Or vice versa. I've had places where I could put a camera up, I could put food up, everything during the summer, maybe get a few deer. And then during the fall, they pile in. So it's important to know the difference in that. But if you do have places where they do like to stay and it's just a general place for deer, yes, your summer information is extremely helpful, because if you're not picky on whether you're shooting a doe or just a good buck that comes by or whatever, you have the general amount of deer that are there to pick from. That you know that they like to be there.
Yep. I wish I knew. You brought up when you talk about like sometimes we've had food out in the summertime, trying to get pictures and that kind of thing. I still wonder why we've done that, where we might even have a feeder, right? And we got some, like at my house, it's always been the case. If I put a feeder out in our yard, Karen had one in the yard there for a few summers. You couldn't
look at the deer.
Yeah, you couldn't keep it. You couldn't keep enough food in it. They were eating it within every 300 pounds every 5 days. But yet you go to another place that's 30 miles away, 40 miles away, set out a feeder, come back and check it in 5 days. Doesn't look like they even. I mean, you got a picture of a deer or two, but they're not hitting it very hard.
Well, the interesting part about that is we do know that there's a lot of deer there, if not potentially
Absolutely.
a higher number of deer there. It's not that we just don't know if there's deer there.
I think it's just that those deer aren't acclimated to people, and because we had a couple of videos where you could watch them, like they walk up and like sniffing it, and then they're like,
What
oh,
the
screw
heck?
this.
Yeah.
They're out. And I think it's just that I think eventually they probably would
Learn.
get more okay
Right.
with it, but I think it's just going to take a lot longer. Where those deer, you guys are hanging around the house and
all the
doing
time.
stuff
They
all
would
the
be out there
time.
when we were in the yard.
Right. Like,
You
I mean,
know.
they're used to you guys being there.
Yep.
So,
Well, but I do think that talking about the transition though of the deer themselves, I think we've seen it though where it's been kind of weird. Like you could and I guess my point is you could have something of a habitual deal of a group of bucks early September. They come out of velvet and they change, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they still don't form another habit. And the one that I'm thinking of is the opportunity when you were a youth, when that guy called us and said, hey, come over here, I got these $2. And they were doing the freaking same thing every day. He was like, can he come today? Can he come today? But they weren't doing what they had been doing. That started September 15th. So it had to be somewhere between the 15th and October 1st when we went over there. Because what we hunted 2 or 3 times, I think.
And we were close to them every time.
Yep.
We were listening to them sneeze. You could look down the thing and kind of see where they're at, but they just never came out.
Right. They just, so their whole thing, they might have been 5 or 10 minutes one way or the other. Well, that 10 minutes would make it too dark and he couldn't see.
Did they come out at all ever?
I think they did one time when it was too dark.
Yes, that's what we watched, and because we got stuck standing in the corn. Because that's all we did was just went down to where he said they come up this waterway right on the edge of the corn. So we were just standing in the corn waiting on them. And I'm not so sure, too, that they might not have known something was different.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, I think that we were like, there was 3 of us and we were making.
We were literally standing there.
Yeah, and walking through the corn, I think they might have
Yeah.
they were just like, well, whatever that is, yeah, it's been gone for an hour. They haven't heard us.
It ain't right, though.
But it ain't right. So they waited
Especially
an
if
extra.
they'd been that consistent.
Yeah, and they waited an extra 10 minutes, and before they walked up there.
Yep. So what if you have a deer that's shown up this summer that you're not sure who it is? That's a tanker. And your season doesn't open till October. Is there any way to know if he's going to be there? Should I wait on this deer? Should I panic? Is he going to be there?
I don't think there's really any way to know without having any information on him whatsoever until it gets to that time, if you can find him or not.
So panic.
No.
No.
I believe the first thing that you should do is be thankful. Daggone, man, we've got one here. I can't tell you how many times, though, I'll think back to a deer that I know exists that it'll keep me sitting in a stand. I'll stay because I know he's out here.
I'm trying to think of how many we've had. Have we ever had any deer, real big deer, that were only on us in the summer would leave? I mean, I'm sure we had some. I'm just trying to think of some off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah, Nomad.
Well, yeah,
He
but he
left
was
everywhere.
there and stuff, too.
He's saying that they absolutely left nowhere to be found during the fall. They lived there.
straight up, but ended up on us.
Yeah, Gypsy did that until last year. But he also wasn't like, I guess he's probably 150.
Because there was a deer, several years ago we called Ralph that some dude had to
hate him,
just be crushed every year. Because he usually, later in his life, we did get a few more summer pictures of him for whatever reason, but I don't know if he was on a trip or what. Right. Because otherwise that deer just never showed up till October. And I would think that somebody out there had a whole bunch of summer pictures of him, you know, big frame and everything, and then just gone.
I had one that wasn't like a huge deer, but if you remember, he only showed up one time during the fall. But Kramer, that buck that was super wide, really heavy,
yeah.
I would have him all summer, and then you kept saying, I don't know why you're doing this. You're going to keep getting pictures. You're probably not going to be there. And then he wasn't there.
I know where he ended up, though.
He ended up way back there again this following year, but I don't know where he ended up the year that I lost him for a whole fall.
The first thing I would tell you to do, too, if you have a really big deer that showed up that you can't figure out who it was in the summer and you could hunt the place years before, I'd go back and I'd look at your photos.
It probably is somebody you know, or one of them.
Especially if you're in the Midwest, because just the Midwest here, and I think that would include like maybe parts of Nebraska, because there's been
for sure
some decent sources showing me some big ass deer there.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, Iowa, Ohio, Illinois,
Kansas,
all those areas. Go back and look, because the odds are you probably do have pictures of the deer, and he just did one of these stupid jumps, like 30, 40 inches, and you're thinking, oh, I don't know who this deer is, and if you go back and be like, well, if it's that one, he'd had to made a huge jump, probably him.
Yeah.
So and this is kind of off topic, but not really. We just had somebody send in, and I don't remember his name because I wasn't thinking. I just answered him what I thought. But he sent in either on Instagram or one of our social media deals and said, here's a picture of this deer. Do you guys typically see deer drop their extra points and stuff like that? You know, like if they've had junk and then all of a sudden just become really clean. And so he sent the pictures and I'm looking at it and I was like, my answer back to him was, are you sure this is the same deer? And he says, then later, it took him a couple of days to answer, and he answered, well, I'm not sure, but my buddies all think that it's definitely the same deer. However, he had some stuff at the junk at the base of his antlers and then a sticker or two, and now he doesn't have any of that. And I don't think it's the same deer. I don't. I think that he's got a completely different deer. I feel like I'm jumping to next week because I'm looking forward to that to talk about velvet and growth and stuff. But while we were talking about them being in velvet and who it is and what it looks like, what are your guys' thoughts on seeing kickers and stuff like that? Do they typically lose them that you guys think?
I don't think they usually do, but they do sometimes because the 12 just did.
My answer to that was going to be typically no, but
the heavy one that I was chasing,
right?
He had
3
stickers on his right base last year, and then another one on his left, and dropped all of them.
But I also think he's 7 or 8 years old.
Well, that just shows that's a thing.
Usually, I think the older they get, the more gnarly they get at the
Well, he
bases.
also one year had a 5-inch deal that stuck straight out of the back of his antler.
That's different. Oh yeah.
No, that was him.
Yeah,
See,
I thought you were thinking spine time.
I've kind of thrown out all the. I don't remember what podcast we did. We did something about like the chances of them doing this, that, or the other, or keeping being able to tell if it's the same deer or whatever. I don't know what it was, but we talked about this type of thing. I used to think that it was pretty I guess truthful to think that there's certain things that probably aren't going to change much. The more I've paid attention, there are things that are more common that stay the same, for sure. And stickers would be one where I would think that it may not be the sticker in the same spot, but just having some form of junk is probably going to be there for a while. It's not a common one to leave. But I've thrown out the theory that there's certain things that are always going to be there. I think they can change a lot. Well, if they really have something going on or whatever, they grow different. So I could see it being the case that he has 1 year with stickers and 1 year without. But
I wouldn't say it's impossible. I'd say rarely do you see a deer that's got a decent bit of trash go clean.
Well, my main answer to him was I just wasn't sure. Number one, the new pictures that he has this year were farther away, so you couldn't see very close, and so I couldn't really tell. But there's a chance that it's just not the same deer.
Yeah. I think that happens quite often, that people are misidentifying deer, or they're trying to make a deer fit a certain one.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's this buck.
Well, because the one commonality I would say, though, that is that if they have a sticker, they'll swap sides with that sucker. It seems like often. Or swap it from a G2 to a G3, or from G2 here to G2 on the other side, or
that I see often. Yes.
That seems like it happens a lot.
Like it doesn't matter what side it'll be on,
right.
But they'll throw it on again, yeah.
But like in BG's case, and I've seen a lot of others, you get a young deer that's got stickers, a lot of times those turn into full points. It grows all the way, instead of being where it's a 2-inch kicker off of the G2, the next year it's coming out of the base right there. So, I mean, I think there's, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure that we have missed a deer or two that we were like, oh, that's not the same deer. And we just never knew. Someone else killed it or whatever, and it might have been the same deer. Yeah, I mean, some of them are not hard. Straight up was not hard. I mean, you could look at him and see the same deer. You could have picked him if you only had at year 1 and year 7 or year 6, you'd have known it was the same deer. He was that similar.
Yeah, especially from 3 to 4 is when you need to know them, because that a lot of times seems to be the time that they're gonna do something crazy and really grow and look different. That's at that point.
But was there any, we weren't going to go into the transition like all the way into October and stuff, right?
I don't think so. I think it's
trying to stay relative, what's getting ready,
one,
getting ready for what's coming up now.
Yep, that you need to be ready to adjust your cameras. You need to be ready to have some deer go missing for a while, and I think and be ready for deer to go missing, and don't panic. It's okay. It's gonna be harder to get photos for now. If you're not putting stuff on scrapes, now would absolutely be the time that you need to be utilizing scrapes.
Well, the other one that I was getting ready to add to that is, if you guys have not gotten a rub tree, you need to seriously think about doing it. And you're perfect right now putting one in, because you're only a couple weeks away from them coming out of velvet. It won't get touched for a little bit. You might have a deer come up and sniff it, but they won't be rubbing on it or anything. But the day that they come out of velvet, I mean, and I go back to the I don't know, we didn't have a name for that deer that you shot coming to the rub tree.
Yeah, that's
which one? The 172-inch deer that you shot at 8 yards.
Yeah,
we have video of him at that rub tree like September 8th or 9th. I mean, I remember he had pieces of velvet still hanging off of his antlers.
Yep.
And then there was multiple other bucks that just swarmed that tree. So I think there is a positive to having it out ready to go, as opposed to dropping one in. I mean, I'm not saying if you don't get one out till late September, you haven't missed the boat. But if you can have it already established, you got an idea where it is and it's ready to go. If one of them hits it, it's game on.
I think you have a huge advantage too, to the fact of, if you can get a deer, if you can find a buck right now that's hitting scrapes and is there from September 15th forward, you should have an opportunity to try to key in and kill that deer. Meaning that whether that is, if he's hitting it at night, okay, that gives you enough time, I guess would be my point, to figure out where is he coming from, try to start finding him during the day. And then now is what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to be able to take October, and ideally the October 15th to the 31st, and key in on him and take the right days and the right winds and hunt him there when the conditions are correct. And I think you have a very high chance of killing him at that time.
Right.
But the earlier that you can find him and know where they're at, hardhorn, the better off you are.
I would agree.
For sure. But and without a doubt, though, I mean, and you got to do it pretty quick, because early October can be frustrating. I mean, because
especially if you're really trying to shoot a buck, it can be frustrating.
Yeah. Well, if you're really trying to shoot, especially if you're trying to shoot like a target deer, a buck you've picked out, Because if you aren't like what you just talked about, Warren, if you don't have all the intel on that deer, he could be 500 yards away and he ain't doing much, you know, and there you sit. Hence the reason we take it out on all the does at that time.
Yeah. You big hogs.
All right, this fly thing is...
You're impossible. There's too many of them right now.
I think we should screen in this thing.
No, we need to move this thing.
I agree.
All donations accepted for a new podcast booth for Raised Hunting Podcast.
Yeah, tell them what is the address that they can send their donation to? www.raisedhunting.com. www.raisedhunting.com.
Holy moly. Okay, you ready?
What?
Got a wacky fact.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I can't believe this. A man was found to be missing 90% of his brain.
Who believe?
Yet he led a completely normal life without realizing it. When'd you send in your documentation?
I knew this was coming.
No, I need another one.
Oh, God, I'm so funny.
That's it? There was nothing else to that?
So funny. Yeah, that's all that one was. But it was just such a low-hanging
That must
fruit.
suck for you guys to know that I've only got 10% and I'm still above you two.
At least we have 20% then, maybe.
I don't know. It's hereditary. You get fly swatted for that one. I got that sucker.
All you got?
I'm working on it.
Get a real one. Get a real job. Do something on flies.
I'd say everybody should go to the Illinois Deer and Beer Fest, but by the time you hear this, we'll already be back.
So
I'll predict. It was a good show, guys. I have no idea.
The mobile game, Send Me to Heaven, makes you throw your phone as high as you can to score. Its creator said that he'd hoped people would smash as many iPhones as possible, and Apple banned the app from the App Store. It still remains on Android.
I had a vendetta against it.
Well, no, but... So he's trying to get him to smash.
He was trying to get people to break their phones.
Because he didn't like Apple, I guess.
Focusing on other things.
But wouldn't Apple make more money off of that? He was helping Apple. He didn't realize it, but he was helping them, right?
Yeah, because they're going to get another one for sure.
Yeah, I've not seen anyone that breaks their phone and goes, "Damn, now I can't afford another one."
A doctor, Michael Shannon, saved the life of a premature baby, Chris Trokey, in the 1980s. 30 years later, Trokey, now a paramedic, was among the first responders who saved Dr. Shannon from a burning car, unknowingly returning the favor.
That's kind of wild.
That's pretty freaking cool.
It's kind of like the doctor that saved Hitler, but in a good way. Wasn't that what it was?
Everybody been mad at him if he killed a baby.
Yeah, he would have. I agree. That dude is in such a crappy spot.
Yeah, if you go back in time, they'll be like, "Oh, it's little Hitler."
There's a skit on that. And then they come back and they walk outside and life is different. Yeah, if anybody's seen that, it's pretty funny.
Don't shake your head. I'm saying everybody approves of killing Hitler.
I agree. But you couldn't know when he was a little kid.
I'm saying only if you knew.
Right. All right, guys. Well, that was short and sweet, to the point, because it is that time. And as Easton just mentioned, we are packing up and we are headed out on our first, or I don't know if it'll be the last trade show of this year. But we're going to get that done, because after that, it is full-on hunting season. Warren has an elk tag. I have a deer tag in Kentucky, plus we all have our tags here. So
I have a support tag for everybody. See what I can do.
A support tag.
Emotional support for everybody. Because I don't have any other tag. Oh. They all have tags. I don't.
He's a bottom feeder. He's got points. He doesn't have tags. He has points. He's getting points so he can get a tag. I'm going to get a fly tag because I'm going to kill these freaking things.
We definitely need to get an assault gun. Sponsor us.
No, I'm gonna get a bunch of those little sticky things and hang them all over in here, so there's no other place for them to land but on them.
Fair enough. All right.
Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, go to raisedhunting.com. Check out all the stuff. We got lots of new stuff for you, so see what you're looking for, because hunting season is here.
It will be going fast.
Thank you.